Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Tam Cowan and Alison McConnell are here with me. We've got lots of football stories to talk about. In fact, they're all on in the script as well, because we've brought the BBC off the ball team, and they've put it all together for us in the background. It's magically appeared here what we're all going to talk about. Yeah, absolutely.
Stuart passed away this morning.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Anyway, apart from
that part.
No, I know. I love that fact.
Saying that in front of your wife or your mum is, don't you?
I know, exactly. But I'll tell you,
bad fire.
Even better than that. I mean, I love the way he says, have you got this wee story in? Because he's usually, he works away to all, and then, of course, the BBC assistants give you some.
You didn't even know what story I was talking about.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you in a minute. Calm down.
Two guys doing a runner for the Marriott Hotel in Liverpool, no paying for the porn channel. Have you got any idea what that was about?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
Do that later.
Anyway, a description of the two of them.
Yeah, as long as one of them doesn't look like Tam McManus, then I'm fine. We were at the Malmaison. We're going to talk football. Of course, another night of misery. We'll read out some of your messages, and on YouTube, if you can, try and keep it sane. We'll read out your messages on the feed. It's absolutely free to watch the football show Monday to Friday here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and there's lots more to come. We've had our reporters out at the key games as well. Here's a little quiz question for you that we'll give you the answer to at the end of the programme. Which player made his debut 20 years ago today against Livingston? So there you are. Which player made his debut 20 years ago today against Livingston? Good quiz question.
So a current player?
Gets you It's a current player, yes.
A current player?
Yes.
Wow.
So there you are. We'll give you the answer by the end of the programme. And of course, we've got to talk about difficult times for Scottish football, because quite simply, in European football at Champions League level, are Celtic and Rangers finding it really tough. Leipzig 3, Celtic 1, and it was, well, I'm not going to say it's another hard luck story, because I think at the end of the day, when you looked at the game, Ali, did you think Celtic deserved anything from it?
No, I thought Leipzig were the better team overall. I think you can see in flashes what Celtic are trying to do. They're trying to play a certain way. They're sticking to the principles that you knew they would. Ange Postecoglou's philosophy was never going to waver going into the Champions League, but I think what you see is defensive frailties coming to the fore when you play a certain way. I think Joe Hart's comments were interesting after the game. I think how they were couched, how they were phrased, I think very much pointed to the system in place that the manager wants the players to adhere to. And I think when you play at that level, there is always a danger that you'll be penalised for any mistake. Well, I think it could have been a wider margin. I think when you look at the scoreline, when you look at the two offside decisions, I think when you look at the chances that Leipzig had, and I know Celtic had chances too, a couple of good saves in there, particularly in the first half, but I think they could have won by a wider margin. Yeah,
I hope we don't have some Celtic fans on the feed obviously talking about how they were unlucky and how they played well, because quite simply, they've got 1 point, they're bottom of the table, and all this positivity around the way they're playing is delivering no wins, and that's what you're judged on. As Gordon Strachan used to say, the key to being a good, successful Celtic manager is win, win and win again. There's no great tactics about it. Joe Hart, and alluding to what you were saying there, says, I'm at fault for the second goal, no doubt about it, but that's the way the manager wants us to play, and that is how we play. Sometimes it's going to hurt us, but most of the time, as we showed, it works to get us through the press that we get involved in, and the opportunities to score goals. Well, what I would say is, watching the game, Tam, Celtic did play some good football in patches, but yet again, you always feel as if, I feel as if they look as if they're going to run out of steam, and I feel for the last month that Joe Hart blunder has been coming. I was just waiting for it, and he delivered it big style.
Yeah, of course he blundered against Motherwell as well, and then just decided to lie down, hoping that the referee would blow. Unfortunately, Kevin Van Veen skied it, and Joe made his miraculous recovery in time for the game last night, but I'm not going to dwell on the negativity here that you've already nudged us towards. I must say, I thought last night, and I mean this, I can't remember as a neutral, and by neutral I mean not watching Motherwell or Scotland, right? As much as I'll always cheer for the Scottish team in Europe, but as a neutral, I thought that was absolutely brilliant last night. I watched it out in the pub with one of my pals, and it was one that you could not take your eyes off it. It was non-stop end to end, loads of incident, a wee smatter in the controversy, some decent goals, and genuinely it was one of them that, you know, you didn't go to the loo until half-time or full-time. You didn't go to the bar unless it was absolutely quiet and you knew you get served and get back to your seat and watch it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And it's obviously it's a sore one for Celtic. You look at the group, you look at Rangers in the group, but, you know, as much as fans of the wee diddy clubs always enjoy saying this, we say it with our tongue in cheek about how Rangers and Celtic never seem to mention the financial gap when they played domestically, and it is enormous. You know, we only tend to hear this stuff about, oh, Liverpool, £830 million their squads, or 7 times what Rangers have got, and then with Celtic as well, you know, when they were up against Real Madrid there. As much as that is the case, you know, they're in there against right good teams, and that Leipzig were no mugs, they look tasty. And VAR obviously helped Celtic at least, what was it, twice?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they were very lucky to get the second one actually taken off as well, because I didn't see any great infringement in Joe Hart's eye line to try and stop that goal going into the back of the net, but they got the rub of the green on 2 occasions, and Ange Postecoglou reckons that the negative football that Celtic played cost them.
I could see it coming, you know, that if it wasn't Joe making a mistake, it would have been somebody else, you know, because when you, like I said, when you get into survival mode and you see it with other teams, then the best you'll ever do is survive, and you know, when you're coming away from home in a game like this where you fought so hard to claw your way back into it, you don't want to survive. You want to actually, you know, stay in that positive mindset where you can hurt the opposition and, you know, make them uncomfortable.
Okay, he could see it coming. Paul Lambert could see it coming. He thought there was wide gaps in the middle of the park, and he knows what it's like to control the middle of the park. And as Tam mentioned there, you couldn't take your eyes off it, basically because it was like a school team game. You know, they attack, you attack, they attack, you attack.
Yeah, I think there was a point, if it had finished 6-3, you would have seen it coming, that frantic first half in particular. I thought both teams had ample opportunities to add to the scoring. I think you can see where Celtic are going, you can see what they're trying to do. Are they good enough to do it in the Champions League environment? I think that's the ultimate question. I think Ange Postecoglou's body language in that press conference was interesting, and I thought it was the same after Real Madrid too. I thought there was genuine disappointment that they hadn't taken something, but I think there was a lack of conviction about Celtic last night, and I think the deeper the game got, I think the more that you could see Leipzig growing in confidence, and you could sense a belief that they had in contrast to Celtic. I think Celtic did get deeper. I think you could see them inviting the pressure at times, and I think you could see the gaps appearing.
It does seem bizarre hearing Ange Postecoglou talking about negativity. You know, everything's all positive with him, and that's probably why he's a wee bit upped. But obviously Joe Hart, you know, left it crystal clear for the Celtic fans that that's the way that Postecoglou wants to play it. He wants them to play the ball out for the back, and you know what it's like. You can be there as a supporter and you're pulling your hair out because you know it's an accident waiting to happen. And the accident happened last night. You know,
by the way, Tom,
he's got away with it.
If you're Joe Hart though, you're an experienced player. They've seconds before it just had a goal chalked off, and he's talking about, well, the manager wants us to play this way. Well, I'm sorry, if you're an experienced goalkeeper with England caps aplenty, and that ball comes to your feet and you think, well, you know, I'm going to try and play a pass in between 2 Leipzig players, and it looks as if it's a good bet. I mean, or will I take the manager's wrath by launching it? He's got to use his experience, whether you buy into the manager's plan or not. It
was like a double whammy for the Celtic fans, because you saw the pictures of the fans celebrating the disallowed goal. They were celebrating that as if it was the winning goal in a Champions League final. They were going absolutely crazy. And then, you know, that's a right punch in the guts then that you get. Whereas they just couldn't, you know, settle down for a few minutes, get themselves organised again, back in shape. But then next thing you know, and the ball's in the back of the net, you know, it was a basic error that you're not expecting to see at Champions League level.
And of course the players all rallied round. Greg Taylor reckons it's a team game, and they're going to stick with the game plan.
It's a team error because there was at points earlier on in the play that we could have played forward. Why is that? I don't have the answer, to be honest. We've got a clear system that the way we want to play intense attacking football. So when we veer away from that, we become a poorer side. So we need to double down on our beliefs, regardless of the level, and that's what we'll need to do come Saturday.
Well, that's an interesting one. Double down on their beliefs. So there's listen. I'm not going to get hooked on it, right? But that's plan A, and then try and play plan A better.
Yeah, I don't think there's any great surprise about this, I'd have to be honest. I think if you listen to Ange Postecoglou last season, if you listen to him over the summer, I don't think there's anyone that will be taken aback by the fact that Celtic aren't compromising on that system. I think you knew it was coming. Equally, I don't think there's any great surprise that when you go into the Champions League, you're conceding quite a lot of goals by playing that system. I think it's a sober environment to try and play in. I think it's uncompromising. I think mistakes at Champions League level, there are players who make you pay for it, as you saw last night. I think it's about now for Celtic trying to find something within the group. They really now need to win that next home game. Hope Real Madrid win their next 2 games, and then the pathway is still there. But I think
what the pathway? You mean third?
No.
I would say third.
No. The pathway is still there for second.
Well,
pathway is still there
because
for
if
second.
Real
You've
Madrid,
been realistic though, no?
no, absolutely. Well, this
Real Madrid win
it's
their
a little
next-
bit of silver lining for Celtic fans. If Real Madrid win their next 2 games and Celtic win their 2 games at home, Celtic don't need
Andy
any.
had a moustache, Peter.
No, but I'm just explaining to you. If Celtic win against Leipzig next week and then defeat Shakhtar Donetsk, okay?
But they should have beat first time, right?
But if they win those 2 games, and as Alison said, if Real Madrid defeat Shakhtar and Leipzig, it means that Real Madrid in the last game don't need to win, they'll be through anyway. But even with that, Celtic won't need to beat Real Madrid.
They would potentially still need something, I think, in Madrid, depending on...
No, because they've beaten Shakhtar. They would have beaten Shakhtar Donetsk, so they have 7 points.
But I think...
Are you buying into it? I mean, it's the one little bit of optimism that I think Celtic fans will look at.
The rest up that way. I think you're absolutely right. Okay, but in second place would get you into what
the last 16.
The last 16.
It won the last 16, so it's the top 2 go through.
Yeah, that's on the basis that they beat them, but I think it's feasible.
It's nothing.
4th nothing. Third gets the Europa League.
It's into Europa League with the chance of dropping down again to the conference. If you get knocked out of that.
Yes, down into the
and then into the Intertoto Cup,
then Texaco Cup, and then
Colville Shield,
then the Lowland League.
You'd almost think football was all about money, wouldn't you?
I think when you look at the evidence, can Celtic beat Leipzig at Celtic Park? Yes, but I think you could put it down as 5-4 or something. I think it'll be one of those.
Yeah, but it doesn't. That doesn't
games.
matter though.
You're going to have 2 teams.
It's only Shakhtar Donetsk that's the key game. If Celtic defeat Shakhtar Donetsk drew with Celtic over there, so the head-to-head is where you would look at it, and Celtic would go through.
I think what you would have to say though is that since that first half against Real Madrid, I don't think Celtic have played at the same level across the last month. I think there's been a dip in form domestically and in the European environment. I think Callum McGregor has looked dead on his feet before the injury, before the Motherwell incident, and when he took the red card for the foul. I think he's looked exhausted. I think Celtic have looked off the pace at times.
Yeah. By the way, Carl, that point you just made there, and I like this. And listen, I'm just pointing out the potential here, and Michael Crooks makes a very good point. He says, Peter, you could say that about Rangers as well. Both won't happen. Michael, it's absolutely one of those situations where that could be the case.
What's the best case scenario for Rangers? And
I think the best case scenario for Rangers is third.
They need a couple of results.
But I can't see them coming. They'll get Napoli to go in
It's
Italy.
a hellish group. I mean, then Napoli, and you just see what they did to Ajax.
Yes.
Night. Terrifying.
And Ajax have got to go to Rangers for the last game of the
Possibly
group.
still looking to get something.
Exactly, and Rangers would need to beat them by a better scoreline than Ajax beat them. So, I'm sorry, and can you honestly see Rangers defeating Liverpool next week?
I think when you factor in there's a lot of results you would look at Ibrox across the last couple of years that you wouldn't have predicted.
Ali, let me have an argument on. Don't give me. You see, you've sat in Ruffy's chair and you're giving me probability. Ruffy's the king of probability. This is a Rangers side that had a first shot on target in the 86th minute. I was sitting in the press box looking, going, wouldn't it be great if Rangers could get into the Liverpool half? I mean, that was a poor... I mean, somebody said to me, oh no, they were poor against Ajax. No, they were poor against Liverpool. That's the poorest I've seen them in this competition.
It sounds a very easy thing to toss into conversation, but I believe it. I don't think Liverpool came out of first gear.
I don't think Liverpool will win the Champions League this season, Tom. They're not good enough.
No, right, but I don't see how you can have a great deal of confidence with Rangers, even though they are at home, going in against Liverpool. And you could even argue that a lot of their best performances in the Europa League run were away from home. So I don't know how it's going to be. But you know what? Great game. I just enjoy it. I mean, the Rangers fans certainly. My mate had travelled down to the game. Pal, I was at the school with. I said, well, what would you sooner have had? Would you have done a group like that where, you're loving every game and you're seeing your team go up against huge outfits, or would you like what would have been deemed, I know there's no such thing, but an easier group in the Champions League? Because you're still up against it, there's every chance you can still come a cropper, but I think they should just bloody enjoy it, and that's it. Well, same with Celtic.
I think it's a good point, Tam, and I am trying to offer an assessment of each game as I watch them unfold. And I thought at the end of the Liverpool game, I thought Jurgen Klopp was very gracious on the point, and I think it's a very valid point though, Alison. Celtic and Rangers have to get used to this level again. They have to realise that Callum McGregor, when he gave the ball away on the edge of Leipzig's box, you could count 20 seconds and the ball was in the back of the net. And that's what happens at that level. If you make a mistake, boom, you could go up the other end of the park and you're down by a goal. And that was the case with McGregor's mistake. The one thing I would say, and I think Celtic have got big problems if McGregor's out of this team for long term, because he is, for me, the man who makes Celtic tick. The boy Abelgard may well come onto a game, he came on as a sub and he gave the ball away, but McGregor makes things, easy things, he just 5-10 yard passes that other people would struggle with. He just keeps the whole engine moving.
I think he sets a tone for Celtic, and I would qualify that by saying I think he's not played well across recent weeks. I think he's looked exhausted. I think the games and the volume of games that he plays over the course of the last couple of seasons has caught up with him. But I would agree with you. I think he's a significant loss if he's out for any length of time for Celtic. And I don't think they have a comparable player within the squad, and we've not seen enough yet of Obligard. I would agree with you. 6'4", I think he is. He might come on to a physical game. I would think he might be more in maybe the ilk of an Air Beaton, something like that. But we've not seen enough of him yet to offer that opinion. But I don't think Celtic have got like for like if McGregor goes out of the team.
No, I'm astonished that McGregor's still at Celtic with his form over the past couple of seasons. I mean, there was obviously a talk when Brendan Rodgers left that he was a big fan, and then there was folk, I don't know if that was just folk taking a flyer with that, but how Steven Gerrard was meant to have been admired him from afar when he was up here, and a wee chance I moved into Villa and all that. But I'm astonished. They must be looking at him because he's a class act, and I'm saying that, of course, about the guy who denied Motherwell a 2-1 victory by Holland down young Ross Tierney when he was cleaned through and up against Joe Hart. And not previously you might have said, but Joe Hart, World Cup goalkeeper, brilliant, but the cracks are beginning to appear. So you need to imagine Motherwell would have taken that chance and would have been looking good, and then scudding Ross County 5-0 after it, and a wee sniffy Champions League football ourselves.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to Motherwell because that was a great result. I'm going to get your thoughts.
Sniffing shoe polish today, did you know that?
To say. I'm glad you've narrowed it down to shoe polish. But anyway, I'm going to get to you on your 5-0 win the other night, because that was another thing that surprised me. But nevertheless, the loss of Callum McGregor could be a big blow to Celtic. Ange Postecoglou has said it doesn't look good when he limped off, and it was one of those ones where you thought to yourself, oh, there's a little jar on the knee. I always get worried when the physio starts holding the knee together. Anyway, here's the group table for Celtic, and for the Celtic fans it's not good to view at the moment, but this could take a dramatic twist along the way. Only time will tell on that, but it could take a dramatic twist. if indeed Celtic can somehow win the next 2 home games. Is that feasible? Give us your thoughts on that, or is it maybe third, or are they going to be rock bottom?
But it's must win to kick off, and it must win next midweek. The Leipzig,
win or bust. Simple as that. Okay, now that we've established that was Celtic. Just out of curiosity, and it's the first time I've got to speak to you guys, I'm going to read out John Kane. He says, "Hi Peter, watching the show from Canada, disappointed about the Leipzig result naturally, but accepting we're on a journey. 8 of our starting 11 in the Champions League campaign, Stephen Welsh, who was my man of the match," he said, making their first Champions League start, and only 3 of our starters were over 24 years of age. Even our captain is only playing his 11th Champions League group game, and he only played for half of it. And he says, a couple of home games now to give our players an opportunity to express themselves in front of our own fans. Some perspective is needed, says John Kane. Okay, listen, I accept there are a number of people on there who are looking at it and saying, well, there's still something to play for, and that is an absolute 100% fact. Tam, what was your thoughts on the Rangers-Liverpool game? Because that was painful, especially because I thought Rangers would really get in their faces, and I don't think even the most ardent of Rangers fan that I know, that I was speaking to ahead of it, they did not expect it. I mean, I'm talking to some people on the Monday who were like absolute diehard Rangers fans, and they're saying, listen, we're going down there to enjoy ourselves. Hopefully we can do something, but we don't expect to win against Liverpool, for God's sake.
Lo and behold, I would say that the fans performed better than the players on the night. You really heard the Rangers fans all night. They were doing there, every ticket had been snapped up.
Can I just say, Sam, just on that point alone, right? And I'm only giving you the perspective of it because I'm sitting there and Rangers fans burst into God Save the King, to which the Liverpool fans booed, and I thought, I must be living in a parallel universe. This is just mental.
But were they not singing about King Kenedy Dalglish? How dare the Liverpool fans boo that?
No, you can awful. Twist it anyway. It was definitely King Charles that were booing.
Andrew Smith's written a very good piece on this in the Scotsman. It's a really interesting piece for anybody that wants.
I mean, honestly, you were sitting there saying, I'm sitting in the middle of England. The Rangers fans are singing God Save the King, and the Liverpool fans are booing them. If Liverpool could declare itself an independent state, it would. The whole area of Liverpool. I'm just making an observation.
Back on the pitch, the bottom line was that I think when Liverpool opened the score, and you thought, well, that's it, and they maybe put the tools away a wee bit, which was a shame. I thought Jurgen Klopp was being slightly disingenuous by claiming that there was no gulf between the clubs. I don't know if that was just, the old managers' inner circle where they try to always say nice things about each other and all the rest of it. But and he had talked up about the fact that how Scotland and the build up to it is great for scouting once again, and we've got talent come through. You're right, it all did seem a wee bit patronising, if that's the word you used earlier. And it was. I mean, the bottom line is, well, they all say the bookies never get it wrong, and I did. I stuck just for a laugh at 20 quid on Rangers at 18-1, because you think, well, you never know. You never know.
Just let me clarify that. You went into a bookies and put 20 quid on Rangers to win.
18-1. Just for a you never know.
No, genuinely, did you do that?
What? I said 20 quid. I said 20 quid, no £200,000. Calm down.
By the way, no wonder he's taking us all. No wonder he's taking us all out for a meal on Sunday.
For full disclosure, I had 20 quid. My classic score that I like going me wasn't close, but I went 0-0 with Leipzig, Celtic. Correct score. I'm just for a.
You can see why you finished bottom.
That was it. Exactly.
Well, he's not going to finish bottom this time, by the way. If Ruffy has his way, you'll finish bottom. But well, the one thing I was going to say to you, I know you're giving your observation on Liverpool, and I think it's the thing that a lot of Rangers fans are looking at. Disappointed at the way they didn't have a go. Just briefly, 2 things come out of it. McGregor, phenomenal, great saves. I mean, he was just, at one point there was I could hear a couple of Scousers behind me going, my God, this guy is just, it's a one-man band. He's just keeping Rangers in the game. The other flip side of that is...
accent was brilliant there, wasn't it?
I really should. I've got to do it. Now that I've got to go down and do it with Alan Thompson. The other thing I was going to say is... a lot of Rangers fans saying to me it's time to drop Kent. I mean, he wasn't good in the game, but I don't think domestically Giovanni Van Bronckhorst can afford to drop Ryan Kent.
Yeah, I think he's been poor since
Yeah.
the start of the season. I think he's been very inconsistent. I think it was the perfect platform for him to go and showcase what he had. I think the fact going back to Liverpool, you just expected a bit more of him.
Yep.
The one thing I would say is it's an accusation that you could level at the whole team. I didn't think Rangers offered much at all. I think they looked inhibited, they looked cowed in the atmosphere. I think they toiled to get out their own half. There was no conviction in the performance. But I thought Kent was a dreadful disappointment. I think at moments when he did have the ball, giving it away very easily, making the wrong decision, things that you would expect him to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much to so many people who have obviously posted messages on the message board here on our YouTube channel. Thank you to that. We try and keep it as sensible as possible. Every now and then, YouTube's the only platform where you can make up a name. You don't actually have to give your real name, right?
Yep.
So, I'm not going to read it. Don't read it out, right? But that's not really a name.
No, that's not really a name.
It's not really a name that you really want to be reading out on this show. I mean, some of them are really good. They've got me down as...
Well, that's me distracted now.
They've got me down as... I think somebody's in there as their title is Peter Martin's Henrik's Jug.
If just in every social media platform you to put up your own name and a current
It's coming,
photo.
Tom. It's
It'd be
coming.
brilliant.
No, but it's coming. It's only a matter of time when they eventually are forced down that way, Ali. Is that fair?
Yeah, I hope so.
So do I. Just for safety reasons alone.
An anonymous person on Twitter the other day, my wife saw this, and it was a guy who got usual thing about I had been complaining quite rightly, I think, about the very idea of Ross County playing Motherwell at the same time as Liverpool were playing Rangers in a huge Battle of Britain Champions League tie. I stand by that, but there was some muppet went on and it was all about cowing. Well, but you'll be able to, you bet you were out watching your real team anyhow, you never went to Dingwall, right? In other words, that night I was a Rangers fan then, right? And then, but when I looked at the guy's wee kind of detail, his biog and all that,
yeah,
big picture of the Aberdeen stand and the stand free lettering, and then below that, ex-Downhamer, So this guy's had two teams, but he's I could never do that. If I moved from Motherwell to Aberdeen, I'd still support Motherwell.
Yeah.
So this guy's had two teams. He's turned his back on a team to go and support another one, and dare I say it, sounds ridiculous when you're talking Aberdeen, but a wee bit of glory hunting. But he's in a go at me, anonymously.
Yeah, I think...
that's what you're up against.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Eric Cantona said, you can change your wife, but you can't change your football team. Ali, what's your thoughts on that? You can change your husband, but you can't change your football team.
I think you would have real suspicions over someone that changed their football team.
I like it. I like it. That's good. Yeah, because you've just got to...
I think we did move house. That's when I thought my wife might have been having an affair.
Yeah.
If you remember, we moved a few years ago. It was only for a year or so, but we moved into Gloucester, and we still had the same window cleaner.
Yeah, absolutely. So Stonewall certainty. Still, the windows were clean. Ronnie Chapman says, "Hi, I'm still waiting on Ruffy's gloves."
Did he win them?
Ronnie Chapman.
Oh, you can give it the answer because I missed it. So it was either Gemmell or Dalglish who scored the 2 goals in that game. Who was it?
Archie Gemmell.
It was Gemmell. So did he take a penalty?
He took
and Dalglish got the one that kind of bounced down and he hit it high into the net.
Yes.
Right.
So
at 9, you're not meant to remember everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I was absolutely devastated on that day. I thought we were going to go through into the next stage of the World Cup, but well done to Ronnie Chapman, who actually won the gloves. And the gloves, actually, thank you for sending your address, Ronnie. They are on their way. I think they actually will arrive tomorrow. So there you have it. It's always good. Competitions, Ali, you get a chance to win everything on this programme.
Today's a stoter.
It's a belter, isn't it?
I've been sitting here thinking about it.
Yep, okay. Do you want me to give you it one more time? Just to see? Okay. Here's the question. No, I can't give you a clue, because as soon as I give you a clue, it's over. The game's up. Here is the question once more. Which player made his debut 20 years ago today against Livingston? It's an absolute belter of a question.
Yeah, it was against Livy. You could try maybe one of the boys. So you could even have been about 16, 17. So we're looking for somebody still playing who's at least 37. Educated guess, 37.
It could have been somebody who made their debut at 16 years of age. Could have been somebody, could have been one of the youngest ever SPFL players to make his debut at 15.
I think I might have it.
Yeah. Okay. Cam,
Keep stum.
Keep stum until the end of the programme, and then we'll deliver it. Thank you very much. Owen McGrandle says Ruffy never wore those gloves, Peter. He bought them from Sports Direct 2 weeks ago. Owen. No, when we put the gloves up, nobody in their right mind thought that Ruffy had those gloves on his hands. He doesn't wear gloves now. Have you seen the state of one of his fingers?
Well, he keeps saying that he's going to get that fixed.
Well, it's an easy fix. What they do is they just cut the tendon and release the finger. But it's because he never wore gloves for a long part of his early career.
Right.
And then he started wearing gloves. But the tendon on it is such that he doesn't. The reason why he will not get it fixed is because it rules him out of tennis
right.
for a month or two. Which is catastrophic for Ruffy, as you know, Alison. So he's not going to get the operation. But by the way, it doesn't affect his tennis playing. He's absolutely magnificent at it.
Is it his whole finger?
It's just the two there,
the one next to it,
and this one here, this thumb. I'm not even. He's just going to get battered. I'm going to batter him. Yeah, absolutely. And also here, I've got a lot of people who are answering the question correctly. So they're on the case. So I'm not going to let you see. I knew you were going to cheat.
I've got a suspicion.
You got a suspicion on it? Okay.
Are you revealing it on the programme?
I'm going to tell you.
Right, before you reveal, well, ladies first, mild fashion, Alison can have
Hold on a minute, the programme's got half an hour to go.
I know, but we're excited, this is good.
Listen, we're going to talk about Hearts against Fiorentina in a moment. Just other news that came out was Jim Goodwin suspended for 8 matches, 6 immediate, 2 suspension, 2 in a suspended, for his comments on Ryan Porteous. I think you could tell right away, Alison, it was coming.
I knew there was a ban coming. I think he would have anticipated a ban and possibly a fine. I don't know that you would have seen the severity of it coming. I thought it was. It took me aback today.
Well, he was getting. You thought that was.
I didn't expect an 8-game ban.
Oh, I thought it was coming. I thought it was that.
Cynic's hat on though. You're saying you didn't expect it, as so the ban was only announced today, and the length of the ban today, right?
Yeah. An hour ago or so.
Is anything swayed their minds at the SFA because within the space of a week, Ryan Porteous is suddenly the golden boy?
No.
And here was this bad man.
No, I don't think. I think it'd be fairly independent.
That would have nothing to do with it, no.
Yeah, I think it'd be fairly independent.
I'm just throwing that in there.
I can't see that either.
He did actually use the word cheat, Jim Goodwin, yeah?
Yeah.
Because I think the minute you went,
I just thought he was going to pick up a hefty fine, Tam. I knew that.
I would have thought a fine. Yeah. I didn't expect, and I thought there would have been a ban, but I didn't anticipate it being.
Well, let's be practical about it. If you get fined, would the club pay that or Jim? How does it work these days?
I think Jim has to pay it.
Well, he's won a watch. You can just sit up. You get a better view, don't you? No, you got a better view up in the stand. Any manager will tell you that. Craig Levine was doing it for a long time at Hearts, of course, but it's no big deal. Well, but you'd like to think they could just, if they haven't already, a wee text to each other. Sorry, I was a wee bit out of order. Heated because it was immediately after the game. I shouldn't have opened my mouth, and got on with it.
I don't think that's going to happen. But the other thing I was going to say to you, Ali, if he's on an 8-game ban, doesn't it all go well for Kyle Lafferty?
It certainly doesn't. It certainly doesn't. I think when you look at both instances, the first thing I'd say about the Jim Goodwin one was I thought it was very measured. He knew exactly what he was saying. I didn't think it was a heat of the moment accusation. I think he knew precisely what he was saying, and I knew what he wanted to say.
Yeah, but if it was premeditated, which I believe...
I don't mean premeditated, but I think he knew what he was saying. I think he was...
But if he knows what he's saying, even in the context of you and I looking, and Tam looking at the incident, it wasn't one of those ones. I like Jim. I think he's a great manager. I like him as a person because I know him well. He's a great lad. I just don't know why he would go that strong when you look at the incident. It's not as if the two of them were hassling each other, pulling at each other. It's not one of those ones where Ryan Porteous has gone boom.
It's a combination of factors. One, I think there's historical grievances there. Two, I think when you lose a game, the way Aberdeen had been playing, the way they went into the game, when that incident happened and how the game changed on that moment. So I think you have a variety of factors that oxygenise his anger and his ire, and he comes out and says his piece.
So it's 8 games,
Two suspended.
2 suspended, right, okay. So based on that, and you think it'll be worse with Kyle Lafferty, give me a ballpark figure, what do you reckon?
Minimum 10.
Aye.
Yeah, I'm beginning to steer that way myself, Alison. I think he's in for a difficult one. Although I have to tell you that the SFA made a statement regarding the comments coming from Derek McInnes, you know, talking about the fact that he's had to play it and the SFA have taken such a long time. So the SFA have come back out and just said, following the latest comments from Derek McInnes regarding the notice of complaint issued to Kyle Lafferty, the SFA seeks to clarify that the club were offered the opportunity under Rule 10.2.5 of the Judicial Panel protocol to bring forward the date of the hearing from October 20th. But they declined to do so. Now, this is the key of it all. The timescales applied under the Judicial Panel protocol are intended to give those issued with a notice of complaint appropriate time to respond to the charge and fully consider their case prior to the hearing date. Now, it's one of these situations, we've all been there, Tam.
Yep.
This is some manager coming out and having a go, and then you have to wait until you get the full story from both angles on it before you eventually wait a minute, Derek.
So is that Derek up for a ban as well?
I don't think he's up for a ban, but he's been economical with the truth.
Aye.
Yeah,
you know?
The whole thing should have been nipped in the bud though, right? Because everybody knows what effectively, you know, Kyle Lafferty's crime was. Everybody knows that he was going to be punished, so I don't even know why it wasn't dealt with, you know, within 24, 48 hours, you know, and got on with it. When you start having to read out all point 10, point 2, point 5, you know, get on with it, you know, it's a nonsense.
Have you ever had on off the ball anybody quote 10.2.5? No.
No, see, I've declared 28 years now, and I'm proud to say that I have never let even a wee swearie cross my lips. Yeah. You always have it like you're in your granny's house, see the minute the microphone's on. Yeah. That's it, you just switch off. Some folk can't. There's only been 3 that did that. There was the first one was an exasperated old Wraith Rovers fan. And it was it was like a good sweary, it was the F word, but he was using it he was all huffing and puffing in Wraith Rovers. It was that time they had all sorts of strange folk involved at board level and everything, you know. Yeah. And in fact, it was so long ago, it was a phone call, which we've not done for years. And the guy, oh boys, you know, it's just, and then he let an F out. But it was just, nobody was ever going to complain. Second time, our own fault maybe for having him on for maybe the 5th time, and you know, statistically he was due one then, but Chick Charnley, he let one fly, and that was fine. And then of course the ultimate was what we still call the Quitongo moment on the show, when that was a C-bomb, and it was on the Sabbath. Yeah, and it was that. But Stuart was magnificent. Cosgrove, he very quickly, and we didn't get one complaint as a result. Stuart said, "Oh well, we really apologise there, ladies and gentlemen." But as you heard, I was asking, and we were asking Jose Quitonga about any racism that he may have faced before. And it was in Scotland. It was quite harrowing. It was heart-rending stuff there. He was telling us, and please remember that English is actually only his 3rd language. Born in Angola, brought up in Portugal. Now he's over here in Scotland. So the minute Stuart had said all that, I think anybody who would have complained in the back of that would have felt that they were a bit of an arse, you know.
Absolutely. And I'd like to profoundly apologise to anyone who was offended by the word arse there from Tam. His second language is English. He originally comes from Lancashire. So, listen, Goodwin, it does include the cup game. So the next 6 he'll miss out. Dundee United away, Hearts at home, Thistle in the League Cup, Motherwell away, Rangers away and Hibs at home.
Yeah, I think it is a loss. I think I appreciate what you're saying about watching the game from the stand and getting a better vantage point. I think he's a big presence in the dugout.
Think so?
I do. And I think he's very vocal at the side of the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think when you factor in being in and around the dressing room before the game, half time, all of that.
We're about to find out.
I think you can, I think you can mitigate against it. I think it's not the end of the world, but I think he is a loss.
It's come at the worst possible time because they look as if they're just starting to kick in to a little bit of form as well.
Consistency, I think, for them. Their home form's been decent. Their away form's been
scoring goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we've been talking about Jim Goodwin, Kyle Lafferty. We've addressed all of those situations. You get an opinion on the programme. It's absolutely free to watch. All you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Website, social media channels. If you download the PLZ Soccer app, you'll get all the breaking stories, and you can watch the programme live on the app as well. So well worthy of you getting involved in that. Also, over and above that, let me quickly give you all the rest of the Champions League results from last night, because we completely and utterly forgot about giving you them all. Salzburg 1, Dynamo Zagreb 0. Leipzig obviously beating Celtic. Chelsea 3-0 against AC Milan. Shakhtar Donetsk losing 2-1 to Real Madrid. Man City 5, Copenhagen 0. Now the reason I'm mentioning it is because he's just outrageous. Now, never mind every manager.
Ireland again,
not only two, Tam, but every manager who gets the sack at the moment down south. I think your current sorority or fraternity automatically link Ange Postecoglou with a job, but as far as Haaland's concerned, every time he scores a goal now, they're linking it with Real Madrid. He's just in the door. Pep Guardiola says he's going nowhere.
The important is he adapted really well. I had the feeling he's incredibly happy here. And we will try with him and all of them, the people who want to stay here, make them happy. This is the most important thing. At the end, what's going to happen in the future, who knows it? So nobody knows it. But the important is he's happy and settled perfectly, and it's incredibly love for everyone. And this is the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going nowhere.
He's just in the door, but I think he will go. He is a top level player. He's only 22. I think when you look at his return, he'll make history this season in the Premier League, and it's inevitable then that big clubs come, that the Real Madrids come chapping on your door. When that is, you don't know. I think if you're a Man City fan, you would enjoy him for as long as you possibly can.
So who would you say right now are bigger than Man City? Looking at the whole picture, give me the clubs that you would say are still bigger than Man City.
That could potentially sign Haaland. No, it's just Real Madrid.
Is that it just now?
It's Real Madrid.
It depends what you're talking about too, though, in terms of prestige and pedigree. I mean, Barcelona would still hold an appeal, I would think, for most people, for most players.
At 1.5 billion in debt?
I think, given their off-field circumstances, but I think there would still be a sway of playing for such a prestigious
And is Messi going back? Did I read that somewhere?
No, that's not happening at the moment. It could happen in the summer. For his swan song in the final year or two, but because obviously he'll have to he could negotiate out then. And
the great thing, even with a big man at Man City, who is, as Alison was saying, we're watching that, he's just like a robot. Even I'm hoping it was last night. I didn't see the game, but the clip that I saw the day, I'm assuming was for last night's game, where he picked up the ref's spray. Did you see that clip? So he was running to get into an attacking position. The ref, maybe 15 seconds earlier, dropped his spray. So Haaland, he's just getting Gallus Alice now, He managed to position himself so that he was running in direction for him to get into an attacking position, but still being able to pick up the spray, chuck it to the ref, and then get in. And I thought, because I hadn't seen the game, I thought, he's going to score here. That's why this clip is up, and it's gone viral, but he didn't. And I thought, wow, but it's amazing. What's great as well, there's been some amount, he must have seen these clips, clearly, and everybody's loving posting them now. The amount of kind of pundits and podcasters and all the rest of it down south who were slating him not that long ago about the ridiculous amount of money and how he's rubbish and he's not the player everybody thinks he was. And these things just keep appearing with folk who are getting found out with what they thought about the boy.
Well, I have to say, he's an absolute machine, and I think it's fantastic. Sometimes on social media, it's really good. There are some positive laughs, and they've started a petition to get him out of English football because it's no fair.
Well, that's right. I saw that.
I like the World Cup one. He should be parachuted in. You can do a Haaland call, for 30 after 30 minutes. You can adopt him for 30 minutes. You parachute him in the colours of your country, and he drops into any struggling team.
He gets you to the semi-finals easily. The other ones was Seville 1, Dortmund 4, which is Haaland's old club. Juventus 3, Maccabi Haifa 1, and Benfica 1, Paris Saint-Germain 1. Benfica 1-1 with Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain, Messi, Mbappe, Neymar, still nowhere near, I think, winning it. Anyway,
did you see Messi's goal?
No, I missed it. Was it good?
It was a nice wee swift move. Why did you touch my knee there?
Well, I was going to say to you, because it's been a hectic couple of days travelling back up from.
Right, it was as if you had Lionel Messi as a surprise guest, and you're saying, "Don't spoil it. We're going to introduce the man."
Or here's the goal.
No, it was just a peach. Did fast at the edge of the box, and it came to him left foot and a big swervy right round the goalie, and it was a absolute peach.
Belter.
This is great. I've been watching all the European football. You've been slackening off.
I know.
Peter.
Do you want to tell you something? Usually, I actually sat on the couch after driving up from Liverpool, and I sat on the couch and I watched the Celtic game, and then I thought, I'm going to try and watch a wee bit of the highlights of Man City because he's a machine, and then gone.
That was up.
You know, I'm falling asleep now, Tam, at times. I used to go out to nightclubs. Is that bad?
Well, no, I'm with you there. I just need to hear the opening theme of Countdown, and I've got one eye shut.
I was looking at the watch last night, and I thought to myself, Alison will be in the Savoy by now. She'll be up on the floor. She'll be dancing.
I was at Rugby Park last night. It's much the same.
I know, it's the exact same thing. We're going to get to Rugby Park in a minute, but the Conference League, Hearts. Can Hearts lift their spirits, please? I'm hoping tonight Hearts can win against Fiorentina.
Your Fiorentina colours on?
Well, you know what? You know I'm very badly colourblind. I bought this at Gretna Services. The last trip I was away in my motorhome because I came out without a hoodie and it was a wee bit chilly. So I bought this out of one of these kind of Scottish gift shop things, you know.
I knew
what colour is it?
I knew it wasn't Ralph Lauren. It's purple.
It's purple.
Yeah.
It wasn't Ralph Lauren. Sitting there like a tadger with basically your overalls on. PLZ. Look at you. All you're needing is a big name badge.
It's coming.
So this is what? So is it purple? Purple, aye. Right, there you go. But you know what? To get back to the football, when I read the day Robbie Nielsen saying, and you know why he's saying it as well, oh, we've 20,000 Hearts fans that can hopefully. But that was just, you could have been reading the same report for when they played the Istanbul side, you know. That was hopefully for them, the banker, was the atmosphere, the crowd and all that. And that team were very, very tasty. I don't know. Yeah, you will know better than me. You've not taken your eye off the ball that much. How Fiorentina?
No, they're not that good, by the way.
Are they not?
No.
Right.
And to be fair, I'm looking at the quotes that he's talking about from Robbie Nielsen. This is what Robbie had to say ahead of the game against Fiorentina. I mean, listen, they're still in Serie A, still going to be good. We have to respect a Serie A team, but we also have to believe we can take the game to them. We have to bring our best game and hope that Fiorentina don't bring theirs. Fiorentina are sitting mid-table in Serie A, and they've probably not had the best start to the season they would have liked, but I'm sure they will pick up throughout the season. Italian football over the last number of years has changed quite a bit. It's gone from sitting in and defending to really out there pressing and aggressive. It's really exciting to watch. We have to find a way to try and combat that. So that was his comments on it, Ali. What do you make of it?
I think it'll be a very tough night for them. I take your point. I don't think Fiorentina are maybe the Fiorentina of old, like or carry the same threat that they might have, but I think they're a decent outfit. I think it'll be a tough night for Hearts. And I think sometimes when you talk about the atmosphere at Celtic Park or Ibrox, Tynecastle tonight, and your home support creating this fantastic noise and excellent energy, I think the problem you have in big European nights is that good sides feed off it, and both sides feed off it.
Yeah.
I don't think any good player is intimidated or fazed by that. I think it's the opposite. I think you relish that kind of energy too. I think it can work for your opposition as much as
you know what though, that the Hearts could do with giving their fans a wee lift. I mean, I'm guessing unless there's some sort of microclimate in the West End of Edinburgh tonight, then it's going to be absolutely hosing it down. It's predicted to be on all night, and the fans will be there trudging into the stadium, drook it, you know. It'd be good if Hearts could get after a flyer, give them a big lift, you know. Yeah. And it rains, by the way, in Italy as well, because I read a couple of things a day online with folks saying, oh, maybe the muddy pitch and the rain and all that will give Hearts a wee edge, but, you know, this isn't Las Vegas United that Hearts are playing, you know, they know what rain's like as well.
No, I think you're right. I think 1 win in 10, it's not exactly great for them, for Fiorentina, but as you say, I don't think, you know, at certain levels in European football, I don't think teams get freaked out by a loud cheer. Although I would say this to you, Alison, and this is something that I think, it was funny listening to the Rangers fans singing it to the Liverpool fans, but I actually thought they hit the nail on the head. and you know what I'm like. I've been down to Liverpool on many occasions when Kenny was playing. As a boy, I would go down there and see him because I was a big Kenny Dalglish fan. And you know, and Liverpool, I think, is one of those teams that I follow regularly. Going down there, the Rangers fans were singing, "Where's your special atmosphere?" Or words to that effect. And I got where they were coming from, because I've been there when Liverpool played Villarreal lately. Their walk-on is nothing like Celtic at the walk-on. I mean, absolutely different. I can remember Rio Ferdinand saying the Man United players stood there, and when the Champions League theme was on, and the emblem is getting quickly, battered from one bit to the end by the ball boys, the noise was incredible. It wasn't incredible at Anfield. It's almost as if they've come to expect entertainers before we're going to start singing.
Yeah, I think you can get a bit, you can take it for granted a bit. I actually thought that came across in the game on Tuesday night. I thought it felt flat at times, and I don't know if it was just because the game was quite one-sided, that maybe it sucks a bit of energy out of it, that you're more or less assured of the point. There's no real tension in the game, and sometimes it just creates a flatness in the stadium. But yeah, I thought it came across even on TV.
Alison, last night, Chelsea, AC Milan, there was a point in the game when I'm looking at it, you heard a pin drop. There was nobody singing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable, Tam. At least at
Listen, if you're watching high-end games all the time, you know what I mean? I think, goodness, still got a shiver thinking about when we played Panathinaikos in a Champions League qualifier at Fir Park. The whole place was absolutely buzzing, you know. Honestly, it was incredible, but that, again, is because we weren't used to nights like that. I think these guys now, they're paying their colossal amounts for tickets, and they're always seeing Chelsea effectively playing a big game, you know. Then they maybe just take their eye off the ball and maybe stop enjoying it as much as they maybe should. But what's the situation, by the way, before you move on with the Hearts group? What's the story there then? Have you got the table?
Yep. Hearts in the... I love the way he's done that to me, by the way, Ali. I've got it here. Hearts need to win this game tonight to try and get themselves in with an out-and-out shout of second place. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking at the table. They're not going to do it.
And there are no second prizes if you fail in this group then, because this is the conference.
No, this is the conference.
That's right.
So
they need a win tonight, bottom line, yeah?
Yes, and I don't think...
What price do they, Peter, any idea?
I don't. I'm not a gambling man. I wouldn't put... You're not going to put a tenner on, are you?
A wee tenner on Hearts, so probably be about...
You might have put 20.
About 3 to 1, no, 5 to 2 maybe.
20 quid is better on Hearts than it was on your bet from the last game.
Aye, because they didn't win. If they'd won 20 quid at 18 to 1 would have been very tasty.
Yeah.
It was just to give you a wee extra interest. I like that when I'm watching a game.
Yeah, absolutely, but can you see them win tonight?
No,
you're not.
I'd love to say yes. I just don't think. I'd like to be wrong. I'd like to be sitting here tomorrow and we're discussing it. I just don't think there's sufficient evidence that would lead you down that path. You would hope they would. You want them to. You want them to go out and give an aggressive, good performance. Go in, try and start off well. I think get an early foothold in the game. I just don't know that.
I'm going to be controversial.
What? Go for it.
Hearts are going to beat Fiorentina, and I think Hearts are going to finish second in the group.
I hope you're right. I think it's fantastic. You would want to see as
they're
many
on 3 points at the moment.
Who are you at? 1-0?
1-0. I don't care if it's 1-0. Just as long as they win.
And of course, Alison won't be watching it because you'll be elsewhere, won't you, Alison?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in 2 seconds. Yeah.
Another bonk. I was talking about playing Ross County Motherwell.
Yeah.
Head to head with Liverpool Rangers. This is bonkers as well when you start talking about this, when you're trying to promote the women's game.
We're going to do that in 2 minutes. Were you happy with the 5-0? Did you expect it?
No, I didn't expect it, but oh no, wait a minute, sorry, I did expect it. Sorry, I'm lying, and I've got documentary evidence. You probably saw the thing I put up on social media, whereas in the radio on Sunday I'd stated quite categorically, and I was able to lift the clip, that I thought, and I said it's normally Celtic Rangers fans you hear saying this when they've maybe not been scoring the goals. I think we're going to give somebody a doing soon. 48 hours later, we went up to Dingwall and scored 5. So yeah, I did predict it. Sorry, contradicting myself there. But it was great. The bottom line is now, in terms of how well we've been playing, notwithstanding a couple of the results, 0-0 Dundee United, who of course haven't won a game, 0-3 against Hearts, when even Hearts players, fans, I think the manager as well, was saying that Motherwell should have won that game. King Louis Moult can't get a snuff there. He's on the bench, and that certainly comes on for a wee late appearance. So that's got to be a good sign. But it's night and day, Peter. See if I don't know. I think you saw quite a bit of Motherwell last season, Alison, but in terms of just even the way they're going about playing and they're entertaining the fans, and it's just completely different to the previous manager.
You can sense the players like playing it. You can sense that there's a creativity within the side, that the players have got the shackles off a wee bit.
Absolutely. And the good news with Motherwell as well, we do have the PLZ Tams forfeit feast this Sunday.
Yes.
And if you're wondering why I'm looking so happy about that, knowing that I'm going to get a hefty bill, Callum Slattery has offered to pay it for us because he's got much more money than everyone else, as you maybe read today. So that's great. Well done, Callum.
Oh, I can't wait to see him on Sunday then. Just a quick one, because Tam was talking about Motherwell. We're running right out of time. 2-1. The boy Danny Armstrong's free kick was the best free kick I've seen in Scotland this season. It was up there.
Excellent.
It was up there with Trent Alexander's against Rangers.
It was a fantastic technique. And he played out his skin. Actually, should have had a hat-trick. He nearly got his third in the second half. I thought he played particularly well. I thought Kilmarnock played with a confidence that I didn't really expect. It made for a really antsy last 3 minutes when Theo Blair pulled one back, which would have been a real, it would have been harsh on them, because they controlled that game. They could have won it by a far wider margin.
And it's a big win, because St Johnstone were obviously getting a wee bit of form together, and they were having, it seemed quite strange at the time, but you had a picture of all the team at the Cherrybank Inn, just as you get into Perth with the golf and that, and there they were, and it looked like a picture of a team. I was saying this to Cosgrove, it looked like the sort of picture you'd imagine seeing after they'd won one of their recent cups. They were suddenly all happy and they're having a pint with the manager, and this was only because they'd got a wee couple of results back, and it was maybe a wee bit of team bonding, and I thought they're going to kick on for here, because there was a lot of folks saying that Nicky Clark was like the final piece in the jigsaw, and then that's us. We've got a settled team again. We know we had lost a couple of big names, but so that's huge for Kilmarnock.
Yeah, the longer you talk, the less chance we've got to talk about the women in a minute now, by the way. But just Errol says,
left it, so an open goal there.
Stay off the drugs, says Errol from myself, because I've picked Hearts to win. Mark Fairfield says Hearts 6, Fiorentina 1.
6 wins.
Yeah, and then Stephen McNamara says 4-1 Fiorentina. It's all about opinions, to be honest with you. Ali, you're off to Hampden, Scotland against Austria. It's a World Cup playoff. If they win, they've got a chance to go and take on the Republic of Ireland for a chance to go to the World Cup. And I don't know about you, but Pedro Martinez Losa is a lovely man. Great if he could get the girls to the World Cup.
Yeah, it's not quite as simple as that. I think even it depends on other results. It's quite a convoluted system to get there, even if they were to prevail against Austria and then win the final against Republic of Ireland. There's still a possibility of an Intercontinental playoff in New Zealand in February.
Trust you to put a damper on it.
It's facts, I'm afraid. Can
they do it?
I think they can. I think Austria got to the quarterfinals of the European Championships this summer. I think they're a decent team.
But we've got a good record against them.
A decent record against them, but things have changed hugely and at rapid pace in the women's game across the last 5 years, across the last decade. And Austria would be one of the teams that have had quite an accelerated growth. Quite similar to Scotland in that a number of players play their football in Germany. Scotland would have a number of players down in England, a better league, a more lucrative league, a more competitive league. But I think they can go through. I think they can do it. I think they should beat Republic of Ireland too if they prevail against Austria, and then you have to look at all 3 European finals and see where that leaves them.
I'm going to go Scotland to win 2-1. What about you?
2-1 too.
Two things. First up, get well soon to Alan Campbell. I'm taking it he's unwell if you're reporting on the game.
He's still there.
Because it's just normally Alan Campbell does the women, and then he sells it to 27 newspapers and other media outlets. So that's good. It clearly is a big game then if there's more than Alan Campbell. But all kidding aside, is that not ridiculous? So we've got a team, Hearts, playing in a European game and are putting it head to head with the Scotland women in a playoff.
No, it's not ridiculous.
How's it not ridiculous?
FIFA directive, because of the deadline to establish how many clubs go into the final Intercontinental.
I know, but surely they could have had an alternative, Alison.
you want
and
the
dare
guy,
I say,
do you want the guy who
you know what it's leaving the women's game open for? It's like, well, see, it's no really equal with the man's game, because they would never have done that.
No.
They'd never have put Hearts on the same night as the Scotland male team were playing.
I think
even if they'd be, forget the issue about, there might have been some Hearts players involved in it and they couldn't have done that, but it's bonkers when they're trying to promote it, putting on the same night as Hearts playing Fiorentina, a great name, they might know the biggest of the Italian teams, live on the telly, and you stick a playoff on up against it.
No, I think I always remember Ian Blair trying to work out the permutations of getting the league so that it was fair for everybody, and they wanted this amount of games at home, this amount of games away, then there was cup games, then there was cancellations, then there was European games. They have to be treated, each of these, as a separate entity. It's the same as women's tennis, the same as men's tennis, the same as other sports. You have to treat it as a separate entity. If you suddenly try and mix them in constantly, wondering what men's game is going to start and what women's competition is going to start, you're on a hiding to nothing.
I'm just saying, make it,
I think just because...
Alison, wait one minute. Do you not think there are some people who will be at Tynecastle tonight, and I don't just mean female fans, who, if that game hadn't been on against Fiorentina, they would have gone and cheered on the girls in a playoff?
I agree. I think there is a crossover. I think there is a crossover, but I think what the problem is that FIFA have so many dates where they want to establish all the teams that have come through. This is obviously a European, this is a UEFA competition tonight that Hearts are in. So it's two different governance.
I just think you don't put it head to head. My dear late mother, I used to say, no long before she passed, I says, do you ever watch me on PLZ with Peter and Ruffy? She said, no, tipping point. You don't go head to head.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that point, I'm not even going to disagree with your dear old mother. All I would say to you is the answer to our quiz. You two want to have a go?
I was going to say, is it a goalie?
I'm thinking the same.
You think the same, Alison, after you think this?
David Marshall.
I was going to say Craig Gordon.
Craig Gordon.
Is it? Right.
No.
Made his debut 20 years ago this very day.
Still playing in Scottish football, that was the other clue.
Yeah.
I would have thought Craig Gordon would have made his debut earlier than that.
Yeah, well, he made his debut for Hearts against Livingston, a 1-1 draw.
What age is...
a picture of him, what about that? Oof, fresh-faced youngster.
Absolutely.
Craig still going strong and brilliant. Let's hope he's got a few years in him. Fantastic goalkeeper, brilliant lad. And that's the answer to the quiz. Good luck to Hearts tonight. Hope they can do the business. Especially good luck to Scotland. Hope they can do the business against Austria. Brilliant to have a chat with Tam as ever on this Thursday. And I will tell you on Monday what the big night out was like. Tam's picking up the bill. Everybody's going. All the staff are going as well. We are so excited about this. We're going to sit down there and enjoy the meal, the drink. It's going to be absolutely magnificent. Don't bring the car, Ali, for God's sake. Thanks to Ali, thanks to Tam, from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks to you for watching.